Hi there, we're reporting, it's Francesca Owens, your art escort, reporting from the Biennale di Chianciano 2011. Today's Monday. It's been quite exciting here. I'm reporting from my hotel room bed. After I do this video, I'm going to take a little nap because I'm worn out and I've got to pace myself, as we all know. I've met the most amazing artists and people from around the world. I feel really fortunate to be the Biennale's guest art critic. I've had the opportunity to interview quite a few artists. The things that I'm gathering, my impressions of the Biennale, it is a very high-profile Biennale. High-profile in that, you know, there is a selective jury to get into this Biennale. The prices are high enough, but the location is fantastic. The services rendered for the prices seem to be a good value. The artists are having their dignitaries and ambassadors from some of their respective countries are coming up and recognizing their country's artist as being a representative from their country. Things that I would have never have thought of, I'm seeing here. The other thing that's happening is I'm getting a chance to interview quite a few artists and interview them a little bit in depth, whether it's their materials that they're using, the techniques, the layering, the way they make their art that makes their art so unique, or their story. There was a man yesterday from Pakistan that kept explaining how he liked his paintings to be transparent. He used a lot of transparency, watering down on the colors, a lot of layers. He talked about how his studio that he paints, the table is glass, and he just likes a lot of glass and transparency around him. And keep in mind, English is not his mother language. But as the conversation went on, and I asked him a lot of questions and did my interview, I found out he was a prisoner of war. At the age of about, I think it was 12. It was either 10 or 12. It started at 10 or it started at 12, and he was a prisoner of war for about 2.5 years. Kept with 200 boys in a single room, and you imagine, it was not a good situation, and the kids were pretty much emotionally beat down. And here this is an adult man, male, who's equally my age, easily. I'll be 50 in January, so he's somewhere around my age. And although he didn't discuss anything bad about the experience, I mean, he did talk about some negative things, he just knows that when he paints, he has to layer his colors, and he wants all his colors transparent. That there was some significant issue in his life having a lot of transparency, even though he kept saying to me, people are not transparent, people are not transparent. And it took me a while to kind of put a story together. I just finished lunch with a woman from Israel, an artist, and her husband. She does a watercolor type of painting. She painted a gorgeous lion and an elephant, although the elephant wasn't hung in the best spot, so you know, kind of close up in the hall, you couldn't tell what it was, but when the artist brought me to her painting, made me come backwards, you could see it was a very loosely painted elephant. Really lovely. She's an environmentalist in her country, in Israel, and talked about all the different causes that she is involved in, and I'm resting now because later this afternoon, after I wake up from my nap, I'm sorry, I'm tired. I'm going to interview her, video interview her, so that she can use it. So what I try to do is I try to meet with the artists one-on-one, try to gather stories from them. Another artist this morning is from South Africa, and she does sculptures, bronze sculptures, and I kept calling them herons I forget what she called them. It was a bird like herons. It's the national bird of South Africa, and they have a protective program or an endangered species program where they have certain birds, I guess they couple off for life, and the birds have entered into, they put them into captivity and they become breeding birds. And this couple of birds have been together 20 years. And I'm smiling because she was telling me that the female bird is actually older than the male bird. And I think the male bird's name is Big Boy. And so I laughed and said, oh, she's a cougar bird. She's older than her mate. Anyway, this woman use these two during a mating dance to photograph them and draw them, and then later sculpture, I'm losing my English, make a sculpture in wax, which then got cast into bronze. She's doing a very limited edition, and these two bronze sculptures of the bird that's like a heron but not a heron was there. Anyway, very, very interesting. Interviewed another artist from Greece, a lovely, lovely woman, Evie. Tenacious woman, a woman after my own heart. She has created 6 separate series of art, paintings, groups, a series, 10 to 50 in a series. She currently has 3 series that have been shipped out of Greece and are in other countries, one of them being here at the Biennale. As soon as one of these 3 finishes and is shipped back to her country, she has another one that's being shipped out to London. And the diversity in her series is quite interesting. She has an environmental angle, but then a fairy tale angle. One of her series, she takes the Scavici, I don't know how you say it, but the fancy crystals. It's a split something, fancy crystals, and it was like 4,000, 5,000 crystals she glues into her art. Problem is it makes art very, very, very expensive. She then writes fairy tale stories, and this crystal company has taken her art and represented some of her art in some of their promotions of their material. Then she has the SOS, and I forget the second name of the title, but there were fires running rampant in Greece, just taking out all the natural terrain, and she made a series, very raised, textured kind of art, where the, and very limited palette, I will say, red and black, and made the people kind of dancing in the flames, that I guess mankind had their hand in this cause of fire. I met a charming, charming, sweet young fellow from Costa Rica. He's 24. He's going to turn 25 a couple days after my oldest turns 25. He has an October birthday. Amazingly a talented, talented kid. He's got his act together, his brochures. He works with metal. He cuts metal, engraves the metal, somehow takes melted glass and puts a glaze on it and then cooks it. And one of his series, he's got several series, is about money, and he cuts holes in the case, and he puts the $1, the $5, or the $1 slipped inside this case that's all engraved, and there's a whole story behind the significance of the money. Then he's got a whole jewelry making line, and then he's got a fine art where he takes a paper and he uses I think it's a compass, makes circles and geometric shapes everywhere, and then he comes in and colors them and goes over them. Just really, and sweet, sweet boy. Dreadlocks past his belly button. I mean, huge dreadlocks. But just a sweet, sweet boy, and so talented. The list goes on and on. Oh, I met a woman from Germany, an artist from Germany yesterday. And these are all people I got a chance to interview. The museum is running the video camera at times. And then some of the artists have their own little cameras. And I allow them to videotape us, take the raw footage home, and then they can slice it and dice it and put it into their own professional videos and then send it back to me so that I get a copy or a link of wherever they post it. So that when they go back to their own countries, they can say, here's an interview that was done about me, meaning them, and their work at the Biennale, and then they can use it for their own purposes. Okay, the woman from Germany, what a sweetie. I'm just amazed at the quality of the people here and how open and honest and how creative. You know, they're not just creating art, but a lot of them are writing poetry, or maybe they're making mini movies, or, you know, they're involved with charities. To me, it seems like an echelon, a level of society of artists that is just a cut above. Anyway, this German woman, really a doll, painted a gorgeous picture that had green, maybe orange, violet, rose, and then in the back black and purple. Each one of those colors represented a different person. It was kind of like, it was very much like a Georgia O'Keeffe style. Not the scene, but the way she painted and the layers, the colors. And to the far right, you see a woman with some type of, kind of like what I call a jalaba in the Arabic world. It's kind of like a gown, and it's a headpiece, but then she left the face dark. There was no face. So you could see it was this cloaked woman in a Georgia O'Keeffe kind of style to the far right. And the first one was green. And then there was a cloaked woman, no face, which was an orange color, and then a cloaked woman in a purple, and then a black shadow of a person, but not a cloaked person, but just a shadow of this black person, black figure. And then to the right was, I think, rose. The green represented hope. And she had made that figure turn to the right of the page to leave the page. And